The social divide has been magnified. Many are stuck with asking the question, must we continue to have these conversations generation after generation? The last four words of the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag states, and justice for all. Social justice can be viewed or defined as equality. Equality assures that every person has the opportunity, despite their race, gender, sexuality, class, or economic status. Greetings, Dr. Kelly and class. I am Cindy Strawbridge, and I am excited to talk to you today about my community strategy plan. Colorful demonstrations and weekend marches are vital, but alone are not powerful enough to stop wars. What a powerful quote by Arundhati Roy. I'm so excited to be a part of a phenomenal organization as the Assistant Director of Student Involvement, HAC, Central Pennsylvania's Community College. Our communication plan has been so vital in this hour where we are addressing social injustice for HAC's student body. Dr. John, also known as Dr. Ski, he is the president, and here is a direct quote from him. Our students face great challenges and are more diverse than ever before. Funding for higher education continues to decline and enrollment trends to continue to trend downward across the county. Our strategic plan is student-centric and designed to help us innovate to address these significant challenges. So, who are our constituents? We'll talk about the external as well as the internal, and we'll also talk about what forms and modes of communication we have used to help get the word out about HAC, creating a space of inclusivity, diversity, and a place of belonging. So we'll start first with our internal constituents. So we have the president and certainly the cabinet members. They are the brains, the eyes of the operation. And during this remote time, certainly as we began to launch a plan to certainly get the word out that everybody at HAC was welcome despite their color, despite their gender. And when we made a stand to stand up and say we will not tolerate any injustice. Those decisions came from the president and the cabinet, and they were able to communicate certainly through Zoom, as you all know. With this pandemic world, we are not having face-to-face meetings, and so we are utilizing our technology. And so Zoom and Java, which is an in-house software, gives us the ability to connect, do instant chat. Also, telephone is always, always, always heavily used at HAC. It's nice to pick up the phone and to communicate, and then also email. Next, we have the faculty and staff who their form of communication during this time, as again, they continue to deal with our students on a day-to-day basis. Email is their form of communication because there's an unwritten rule that says if it's not written, it's not done. And then let's not forget about the student body. Their communication was social media and email. When the situation with George Floyd happened, Breonna Taylor, a lot of them took to social media. A lot of them were sending emails, whether it was to the teachers, whether it was to the staff, whether it was to the president. And so we found certainly that during this time with the student body, social media is the way that they've communicated, and it's the way that we've also communicated. We have put several statements out there on social media, and we've also made sure that every student received an email. External constituents, who are they? Certainly the alumni. When Dr. Ski decided to address the student body as a whole, he didn't leave out the alumni. Certainly we sent mailing just informing them that HAC, again, is a place that recognize and understand the importance of celebrating everyone, creating that sense of belonging. We found with parents that the way we wanted to communicate that HAC was standing for justice all the way around was certainly email. And believe it or not, parents love phone calls. And then we cannot forget about our donors and the various organizations. We found that when dealing with our donors and organization, as we are pivoting, as we are changing, as we are moving, we found that with our donors, certainly communication through postal mail is best. We believe at HAC in operating in the spirit of excellence. So, communication type, email. Why was that so important and so crucial in this hour? Because oftentimes with an email, it can require a response, or sometimes it is just very informative, but it's also a great way to track. Personal and concise with the telephone. We wanted to pick up the telephone. We wanted the students to know that HAC felt exactly what many of them were feeling, some of the fear and the anxiety, but we wanted them to know not only were we here for them, but to let them know that we were for them and with them. And postal mail, not everybody is tech savvy, certainly in higher education. You have adult learners, and so they may not be your hip tech savvy individuals. So, to leave no man behind, we were sure to do postal mail. Some people call it snail mail, but we made sure that even our not so tech savvy students still got the same message. And let us not forget about social media. Certainly, I have the icon of Facebook up, but whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And what's great about that is that we were able to hit various platforms all at one time. And with our social media, we have thousands and thousands of people following us. And so we're able to reach the masses with a click of a button. And again, we wanted everybody to know, and during the time of all the social injustice upheave that we saw, that we was with them, that we were for them, and we were standing with them. So, when we look at the leadership approach, when we look at Dr. Ski, and when we look at the cabinet, and we look at the kind of approach, we looked at authoritarian leadership. And what is that? It's leaders that make decisions independently with little or no input from the rest of the group. Now, let me explain. Dr. Ski is absolutely phenomenal in including us, informing us. But there are some tough decisions, as you all know, that not everybody can have a say in. It's just like when you think of an analogy of a chef. You hear too many cooks in the kitchen can cause confusion. And so please understand that Dr. Ski, along with cabinet, when it is decisions that is best for the organization, we are always not included in the decision making process. But I could reassure you, we are always informed, and it has always been for the better good of all of us. And for that, I am ever so grateful. And then when we look at a different leadership approach, when we look at laissez-faire, that leadership operates with a hands-off approach to leadership. While leaders still provide their team with the resources and tools they need to succeed, they remain largely uninvolved in the day-to-day work, and that's staff. That's the staff management. And they certainly take a hands-off approach, because why? We want everybody to know that they have a voice. We're not interested in micromanaging. We're not interested in belittling. But that's what this whole communication plans is about: empowering, equipping, educating, and letting every employee, every staff know that they matter and that we are for them. And I can't stress that enough. And so with this approach, what's great is that it helps the employees to feel empowered and to feel like they too matter, not just today, but every day. So the timeline. We started this back in April. The pandemic certainly happened in March. And then April, we said, we want, as the students are journeying this thing, we want them to feel like they belong. And then came May, and George Floyd happened. And then when George Floyd happened, we were faced with a dilemma. right? Because shortly after that, then we began to see in the news Breonna Taylor. And so we created a timeline that we wanted to communicate with our constituents, both internal and external. And so we took April, and believe it or not, even here most recently, just getting the word out so people know that there is a safe place at HAG. So, our immediate launch, Dr. Ski immediately held a Zoom press conference. It was held and he addressed the death of George Floyd. It was very emotional for many. It was very heartfelt. We talked about Ahmaud Arbery and also Breonna Taylor. He addressed the importance of being supportive of all Black and Brown colleagues. While a difficult conversation to have, it was one that was impactful and life transformational. 1 week after that meeting, cabinet members and the president began reading a book entitled White Fragility. Why is it so hard for white people to talk about racism and to understand the defensive instinct or reaction a white person experiences when questioned about race or made to consider their own race? Why did they read that book? Because they understand that we are better together. They understand that in order for change to happen, it got to start from the head down, right? It starts from the top. And so they were not just preaching a message, they weren't just informing us of a message, they were actually putting some action behind words. Then 1 month communication, the organization received a grant for a new initiative entitled Men of Color, a program to help male students of color. And how did we get the word out? It goes back to our form of communication. We blast social media. We did a lot of mailings. Why? Because we were excited. This is our way of saying, hey, we are with you. This was a way of saying there is a place for you. And so we launched this all over social media, emails, we had Zoom call, we had conference calls. This was a big deal and we're excited, and thus far it is moving and shaking and it's doing extremely well. So we were able to hire a Men of Color director and he has hit the ground running. And as a result, we're getting ready to form in 2021 affinity groups. What are affinity groups? A group of people linked by a common interest or purpose. It goes back to my initial statement. HAC is creating a place of inclusivity, diversity, and a sense of belonging. And we want everybody to know that they belong. So, goal-based evaluation. The goal-based method measures if objectives have been achieved. So, as I just explained, HAC has developed a successful Men of Color initiative. And so as we journey this process, it is brand new, but we certainly will send out surveys and we will use that as a form of a tracking device and will help us evaluate how successful. What I can tell you to date is that the feedback that has been coming back has been nothing but rave reviews. People are excited. Young men feel like they have a voice and a place to connect. And that is exactly what we wanted. And with the affinity groups, I'm excited to launch. You're hearing this first, that come spring of 2020, we will also have various groups for different genders, for different race. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I could not tell you how proud I am of the organization in which I'm a part of and the great things that they have done and continue to do. Courageous conversations. We've been having them all year long and we will continue to have them. Why are we having them? Because we want to be the change that we want the world to see. And guess what? It starts with us. And so we are going to lead this organization to becoming an organization where every time somebody walks through the door, they feel just as important as the next person. So we're having the courageous conversations, but we are also leading a movement that for years to come will be instrumental in the generation that shall follow. Unity, diversity, and inclusivity. Our communication plan was all about informing our constituents, both internal and external, that they have a voice. And not only do they have a voice, I have a voice, and so do you. I want to thank you, Dr. Garrett and classmates. This has been a phenomenal class, and I am telling you, just as my organization is on the move to spread the good news that we are one organization. I don't know if anybody remember um, that show. It used to be a sitcom called Cheers, but the theme song was "Everybody Wants to Go Where Everybody Knows Your Name and They're Glad You Came." Well, at Hack, we want everybody to know your name and we want them to be glad that you came. So thank you for listening to me and to take the time to press pray to hear this presentation. I am excited about the future. I have joyful expectations of the things to come. And as I always say, we are indeed better together. Thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure journeying with you, and best of luck to all of you in your future endeavors. Thanks.